Hey, good morning everyone. Welcome to another episode of Nussbaum Autohaus. I'm your host David Nussbaum, and right behind me we have a huge trailer with a bunch of toys in it. One of the cars in here is a Ferrari SF90 that comes to me all the way from the Bay Area in California. This client has actually done quite a few cars with me. One of the cars we've already had on the channel. It's the video where I call it a Turbo RS, and I'll try and link you to that in the description of this video. But this is the second car that he's sending to me. Of course, it's the SF90. It's in white. It already has wheels that had drop shipped to him in the Bay Area, but the reason that it's coming to us in Miami is because it's going to get a bunch of carbon fiber from Novitec. I'll obviously get into that a little bit later in the video, talk about the wheels a little bit later in the video, but for now, let's get some B-roll footage of it being unloaded from the truck, and once we get into the shop, we'll get into a little bit more detail. So the very first thing I want to talk about are the wheels. This is the very first modification that I did on the car. I drop shipped the entire wheel, entire package to the client in California. These are actually made in California as well. But since I didn't want the wheels to come across country to me in Miami just to put on some new tires and air sensors, I actually had them shipped to AL13, which is in Brea, California, in SoCal, and they actually did the mounting and balancing for me so that the wheels did not have to make a cross trip across the country and kill about 5 business days and then another 5 business days on the way back. So the tires are Michelin Pilot Sport 4S, 255 30/21 in the front, 335 25/22 here in the rear, which is basically the widest possible tire that you can do on the SF90 without making any other major modifications. Going back to the wheel, this is the AL13 D002.1. So if you jump over to AL13's website, you're going to look at the D00.2 and the D002.1. What's the difference, you ask? Well, on the 0.1, which is what this wheel is, this spoke comes out right out to the outer edge of the wheel and it connects on this design element right here. On the non-0.1, which is just the D002, this would actually just go out here and you would have the rim register on the outer edge just continuously without this interruption right here. So that's basically the only difference between the two. When the client and I were speccing out the wheels, he had that question. We looked at both side by side. We did a couple of renders and we decided that this one is probably the best way to go. And after seeing the final outcome, I would have to agree with him on that. It's an absolutely beautiful design language, and I actually want to use this on a couple of other different cars, maybe a Porsche, Lamborghini, McLaren down the road also. In terms of options, we have an upgraded finish, which is basically their most expensive finish outside of chrome. Yes, AL13 still offers chrome, one of the few in the industry that still do that. This is a two-tone, triple dark tint, brushed and polished. Now, I did the air quotes because when you think of two-tone, you think, okay, why isn't it black and silver or silver and gold? Well, what they mean by two-tones is that you have a triple tinted brushed finish and a triple tinted polished finish. So right here on the face, you're gonna have the hand brushing, and then they spray it with a triple dark tint. And in the windows, the surface area between the spokes, it's actually polished. So it's more like a mirror-like finish. And so that's why if you think this wheel is all just one single finish, it's not. It actually has a slight variation between this surface of the wheel and this surface of the wheel, and it go out all the way throughout the entire wheel. That is an upgraded finish, as I mentioned. Costs a little bit extra on a monoblock, a 2-piece or a 3-piece, but it's well worth it because when you see it in person, it's absolutely glorious. This is another thing that the client and I talked about ad nauseum. What color do we do for the wheels? Well, we chose this because we knew down the road we were going to do carbon fiber, and this actually matches the color of carbon fiber a little bit more. I would say a little bit more than what black does. Black is a little bit darker than carbon fiber. This one I would argue is a slight tint lighter than carbon fiber, but it's a much better match. So when you look at it overall, it looks great. Another option we did is what you see right here. Ferrari doesn't come with a center lock option the way that Porsche does, or even some Lamborghini did on the Aventador. So this is actually a plate and it's a spindle. All of this is integrated into the design of the wheel. It's not just about slapping on a mock center lock center cap. There's actually a lot of engineering that goes behind this, and so this was an option that can be applied to any AL13 wheel. And the same goes for this little carbon fiber center cap from Ferrari. This is not the factory cap, so this one just pops in. AL13 offers that from the get-go. So I actually love this wheel so much. Again, 22 by 12.5 on the sizing of this. Up front, it's a 21 by 9.5. And I can't say enough good things about this. AL13, again, you can fly to Brea, California. You can visit their facilities. They own their own machining. They do all the powder coating and the finishes in-house. So it's a wheel brand that manufactures and finishes and makes their wheels in the USA. That can't be said for a lot of other brands. There's brands out there that a lot of people aren't aware of that don't make their own wheels. For example, Anarchy Wheels. That's one that is made by Avant-Garde in Southern California. Same goes for 1886. Those two brands that I just mentioned, they're just private labels. They don't have a machine shop. They actually are a private label that allows another person to manufacture their wheels. But again, that's not the case with AL13. If you ever have a problem with an AL13 wheel, you call them up, or you call me if you purchase it through me, and they'll take care of it right away, and you can actually go see them and see their employees in person. American employees, made in the USA, another reason why I love these bad boys. So I've decided to jump right into the finished product, skip the boring part. Nobody comes to these videos to see a couple of nuts and bolts torqued and wrenched on. So as you have it right here, the SF90 Spider in all its glory, in the true Nussbaum spec, hashtag Nussbaum spec. And the reason it's a Nussbaum spec is because there is not a single thing that is left untouched on this car. So you have the wheels that I just spoke about, you have Aero, you have an exhaust system, and you have suspension. Along with the exhaust system comes the tuning, so all 5 parameters of this build makes it an absolute weapon. Now let's get into it, specifically with the carbon fiber. So right off the bat, you're gonna see what is my favorite piece, the fenders. Brand new fender from Novitec, made in Germany, shipped to us from Germany, prepped for paint. Very, very tricky to get these cars to match the paint of the car, or these parts I should say, to match the paint of the car. Just because if you imagine, this car comes from Italy, it goes through their machines that paint the car in the Bianco Avus in this case, and then it gets assembled and then shipped across the sea to the United States. But this means that this piece is going to be painted completely separately from the rest of the car. So it's a little bit harder to match, and that's the reason why when this piece comes back from the painter, you have to make sure that everything is a perfect match. This one luckily came the very first time, absolute perfect match. The backside, which is the wing that I'll get into in a little bit, that actually had to go back to the painter once because at the first it wasn't happy with it. I thought it was a little bit darker. And when the client is sending me the car from California, I expect absolute perfection from everybody that's on my team working on the car, whether that's the mechanic, the painter, so on and so forth. Taking a little step back so you can see a little bit better of the piece. Carbon fiber vent right here. And then you also have the Novitec carbon fiber side skirt. Now, this side skirt went through one iteration also, the same with the wing. This was actually painted in white. It's kind of like a handle that they have in the design of the side skirt. I painted it in white, but when I saw it in person, it didn't really match the rest of the white of the car. So I said, scrap that. I don't want to remove the side skirt from the car again. Let's just have that piece wrapped in gloss black. That way it looks a lot better than with that white, I'm telling you. I don't know if I'll have a photo of it, but it was sticking out like a sore thumb. It was something that the client and I were trying out, something new to make it a little bit more aggressive, but this subtleness is the key. Moving on to some of the other carbon fiber that we have from Novitec, we have the front spoiler that goes underneath the front bumper, which I'll show you some more B-roll of. And then we also have this flap right here, which is its own separate piece. This actually has to be glued on to this section to make it look a little bit more aggressive. Otherwise, this piece would be missing. You would just have this vent from Ferrari and the carbon fiber spoiler. You also have the center section in carbon fiber, and this front end was actually a point of contention with the client and myself. Novitec offers a lot more carbon fiber on the front end, but this customer did not just want to have carbon fiber all over and it may not make a little bit of sense or a lot of sense on the design. So we made sure to pick and choose where we wanted carbon fiber on the car and where we did not want carbon fiber on the car. So that kind of plays along and gets us into the rear end section, because the rear end section has a 2-piece wing from Rift. It's the only part on this car that's carbon fiber that does not come from Novitec. That is from Rift, 2 pieces, and it comes in fully exposed carbon fiber. Now, we did not just want too much carbon fiber on the car, so what we did is we taped off the center section, we left it in exposed carbon, and then we painted the outside version of it in the Bianco Avus. Even on the back side, which I'll show you in a little bit, we made the tunnel of the wing, of the airflow, in carbon fiber, so it's like an oval of carbon fiber, and the rest is the Bianco Avus. But another thing that we did with an off-brand of carbon fiber is the engine bay area. So you have the engine underneath the glass, and on either side you have these pieces that have a bunch of little circles on it, and then a middle piece here. So 3 pieces in total surrounding the engine bay glass. We transferred that from plastic into carbon fiber, and the same thing with this piece here. So this piece here is carbon fiber. It usually comes in a black plastic. So again, we wanted to eliminate all of the black plastic that was on the car. We actually ordered this from Novitec, but when it came in, we realized that, hey, this is not fitting because this was for the European spec cars. Novitec said, we're actually not sure why we still have it on the website for USA, but that should not be on the website. This piece is not for the American market cars, and we learned that the hard way. So we had to return that part, and then we went with the off-brand, and then we tinted the amber reflector in a little bit of a dark tint so that everything flows together nicely. A couple other notes and tidbits that I'd like to talk about on the car, a little bit of less glamorous stuff, but stuff that I still wanted to do with the client and try out with the client. That way we get the perfect car. We did do a stealth wrap on the front hood just to see what it would look like, but it really dumbed down the Bianco Avus color. So we decided to just kind of pull that off and then re-PPF the entire car and do some paint correction, because the PPF before it kind of left a little bit of swirl marks on the car. So we paint corrected that right out. We buffed it out real good, and it looks absolutely stunning. Now, beginning to rain a little bit here, but luckily we are under the overpass. So I'm gonna step in just a little bit to my right so I don't personally get wet. But looking over the car again, some of the other stuff that I wanted to touch on was the rear end. So again, this is the Rift ducktail. They have another one that is not like a ducktail. It's more like the Ferrari package car, so this would be less aggressive. But we did do the Ferrari in white. We pulled off the badge. We did the Ferrari in white, and this is the two-toning that I was talking about. Let's see if I can get that in frame. So this whole wing, one piece right here and another piece right here, 2 pieces from Rift, comes in exposed carbon fiber, but we went ahead, we taped it off and created this really cool effect, which I actually love. It was the only thing that I was concerned about as far as the look goes with the car, but the painter nailed it. And then on the back end, here's the tunnel that I was discussing about. Let's get that back in frame. Here, there's the carbon fiber, as you can see, holding the third brake light. That was another thing that I was concerned about, but actually came out pretty wicked. The other Novitec piece we did was the air guide sidewall, or is what other people call the air intake. This thing is an absolute mission to install. You actually have to remove the rear wheel, remove the fender liner to get back behind there just to replace that piece, but it's well worth it because, again, as you take a step back of the car, it's a mix of carbon fiber and the Bianco Avus. And then check out that interior. I mean, phenomenal interior. Red leather with a white piping. You have red Alcantara as well on the door cards, and then you have carbon fiber on the steering wheel, the transmission tunnel, and on the dashboard with the SF90 badge. White stitching on the leather too. Again, I think this is about the 3rd or 4th car that I've done for this client that he sent to me from California. This is probably my favorite. That includes the turbo quote-unquote RS that I did for him in silver that I'll link to this video here up above. And that tells you a lot because I'm a Porsche fanatic, but this Ferrari looks completely out of control. The car also has an aftermarket exhaust system. I did not provide that for the client, and the name of the company escapes me right now. It does sound good. I'm not sure about the quality of it just because you can't really see it unless you remove the bumper, and honestly, quality kind of shows itself over a long period of time. But it does sound good. Admittedly, it sounds really good, so I'm sure that the client is happy with that. And also it has the Novitec sports springs to get it the perfect stance. I wanted to make sure that the front was a little lower than the rear to create that overall aggressive rake style. And it is spot on. Very happy with the way that it came out. That basically wraps up the entire SF90 Spider build. I like to get the thank yous out of the way. Thank you to TR3 for helping me do the installation work on some of these parts. Thank you to the customer. I know you're watching. He's a big fan of the channel, so I appreciate you every single time that you send out a car and every time that we work together, because this is truly an honor and a true gem to be able to produce projects like this. I'd like to thank the manufacturers, AL13, Novitec. They create amazing quality parts. They look phenomenal. They fit the right way. They last a long time. So if you're hitting all of those characteristics, you're doing it really well as a manufacturer. And thank you to you as well. Thanks for tuning in and watching. We hope that you got some educational value from this. And if you really like the stuff that I'm producing in terms of cars and talking about the modifications, do me a favor, take a couple seconds to just subscribe, hit the like button. That way, anytime that I post this video or any video in the future, you get a notification as well, and that will help me spread out this channel to more car enthusiasts. If you would like to purchase anything that you see here, whether it's the wheels, the suspension, the carbon fiber, so on and so forth, give us a ring. Go to our website, www.nussbaumautohaus.com, and check me out on Instagram as well. My Instagram is david.nussbaumautohaus, and we also have the standalone Instagram account, which is simply Nussbaum Autohaus. I'm one of the largest dealers in the United States for AL13 wheels. So if you have a question about AL13, no matter how small you think it is or how large, just give us a shout, DM me, call me, email me, and I'll be able to walk you through some of the different options and create a really special look for you the same way that I did here. Same thing goes for Novitec. If you want any Novitec piece, give me a holler and I would love to set you up. I don't know if you heard that on the mic, but it's about to pour on us. So let me jump in the car, enjoy it a little bit in the rain, get the heck out of here, and I guess I'll have like an Uber pick up the camera and all this footage that we did. See you later.